Hello everybody, John here, and today on To The Garage we're doing a little bit of heat and light. So just before Christmas I put up a new lighting rig and just going to share with you what that is all about, and we're putting some heater equipment into the garage as well, just keep me a little bit warmer. Not to mention I have now got a hat and a new fleece courtesy of my wife with my hobby's name written on it, so very excited. So here we go. So my previous lighting arrangements was 4 5-foot tube lights with these sorts of diffusers on, and they were fine. Let me just show you one of the lamps and we can work out how strong these things were. So you just rotate that, slide it out, and then finding where the text is written on it, which I don't know, there it is. So that's what I had. 4 58-watt fluorescent tubes, and they were 5 foot long. And whilst they did the job, a couple of them had been replaced already over the course of about 2 years. I don't think that the slightly damp environment, it's obviously cold and miserable outside at the moment, it's winter, helps them at all. Plus they hum, not as in make a smell, but as in make a noise. And they were taking longer and longer to come on and doing that bouncing effect that tube lights do. The colour was also a little too amber for me. It didn't really give true colours in the garage. So I decided to switch over to LED. And we've got these nice 4-foot LED battens, which I'm sure you're all going to say are at very random angles. John, what were you thinking? I was basically going for the best coverage in the garage. So I've got my back to the door at the moment. I've got one in that direction, then one sideways, then one straight ahead. And that gives me a nice even distribution of light. The corner, as you can see, slightly darker, but I'm not overly worried about that. And then over the car, again, we've got one horizontal, kind of above the boot area and looking in through the rear window. One above my door and my sink. Another one sideways over the gangway, which is good for illuminating the inside of the car. And at the front end, 2 lights staggered. That one is in the right place to illuminate the engine bay, and that one means when the bonnet's up, because remember it hinges forward on a Jag, you're not causing shadows and you can't see in front of it properly. When I had my fluorescent lights, the tube light was basically just where that one is, where we're looking at now, but a little further back towards the Castrol sign. And when you open the bonnet, you really didn't get good illumination at all. And so I've got 7 40-watt, 4-foot LED strip lights. And the effect they're giving is really good. Obviously the cameras compensate for brightness, so it's a little hard to share. The other thing I set up at the same time was just literally plugged in, not in the lighting circuit, a separate single fluorescent light, fluorescent LED light. And the reason for that is twofold. One, I wanted to have a light source that if the lighting circuit went down or I needed to change anything up there, it was still separate and I could turn it on. And the second is it's literally above my bench, meaning when I'm working on stuff, I've got better colour, better brightness. I can see better what I'm doing in this area. And I've got all manner of bits and pieces like this for attaching my camera to, which is my phone generally. And it means I can suspend it above the bench and everything's really well lit from above. And I can work away with my hands and everything just works. So in all, I've got 8 lights now in the garage. And the biggest difference, it is brighter in here obviously, but the biggest difference I'm hoping this image will share it with you, is colours. So yes, we're on a camera, yes, it's automatically compensating somewhat, but I think if you compare this image to some of the previous shots in the garage, then the colours of the car and me and the ground, everything sort of pops and stands out. So for filming it's great, but the reality of just working in here, everything's a lot clearer because everything's got different colours involved, not just a yellowy version of their proper colours. And for those of you who are geeky enough to want to know this, I'm thinking of me and I'm thinking about you, Gary Van Remortel. If you want to know the light levels in the garage, if you're just above the roof of the car, it's about 150 lux, and over there at bench level, whoops, it's 430 lux. It does kind of make the camera bleach out when I move over into this area, but trust me, in real life with your eyes, this is a nice, good, shadow-free environment. And this is just a reasonably natural, non-dazzling level of light. So very, very happy with that. It is bright outside, and as much as any winter's day in the UK is bright, but my windows are not huge, so that's not really having an awful lot of effect. Okay, so next thing is I want to heat the garage. Previously I've been heating the garage using a gas powered, what we call a super Sir heater, sort of a cabinet yay big, with something like a 16 kilo gas bottle inside it running off propane. And that was pretty effective, to be fair, but the trouble with the gas powered stuff, it does tend to generate a fair amount of moisture and condensation, which, all right, I've got a slate roof and wood up there, nothing much is going to drip, but I have steel doors, the windows, everything else, and everything just gets a little bit sticky if you're using a heater for an amount of time. So I wanted a drier heat. I toyed with going down the halogen route for quite some time, but in the end, what I've gone for a more general coverage within the entire space is one of these. It's a Duronic, and it's a 2000 watt heater. It's fan assisted. Basically, it's an electric element heater, but its convection, if you like, is assisted by a fan which draws in for this grill. It's thermostatically controlled and has 3 different settings. Plus you can turn the fan on as just move the air around if you want ventilation without the heater. It comes with feet, but I'm not going to be using those because I'm going to wall mount it. It is intended for wall mount. And we're going to stick this up and see how well that works. When mounting a heater like this, you've got to make sure that you've got airspace all around it. You don't want it at floor level. You don't want it up near your ceiling. You want it about 300 mil from the floor minimum. And if you're in a corner, come away from the walls. I've got this slight buttress, which won't affect it too badly, but I'm still going to bring it away from that wall as far as is sensible. And the heater comes with these very simple brackets with a slot in, which is the hook that's going to hold it up on the wall. So what them clips are going to do, they're going to 2 slots in the back of the heater. There's that little bit of wriggle room I told you about. There we go, flex it. But when you put them in the hooks, you can see the heater stands off the wall. But now it's sitting at a little bit of a funny angle. So there are 2 more clips in the kit that I'm going to screw to the bottom, and what they're going to do is just keep it away from the wall by the same amount. There we go. You see, we've got a great air gap. Next, I've got no intention of hardwiring this in, because who's to say I've got it in the right place? Might want to change it. So what I'm going to do is put my plug in that socket and then just tidy the cable up so that it's a neatish installation. I'm not going to snag the cable. I can just take the plug out and leave it like that. Okay, so pretty neat, nice and simple. So I don't want to hardwire it in, might want to move it later. So let's fire up. That's the low power. Instantly a little bit of heat rising. Let's turn on the fan. Nice and quiet, immediate effect. Let's turn on full power. Ooh, it's a good level of warmth coming straight away out of that. And I'm going to leave the thermostat on halfway and we'll see if it can turn itself off and basically heat up the space inside my garage, which is about 5 meters square. That's not 5 square meters, by the way, I just heard myself. It's 5 by 5 meters and it's sort of a square. And the last thing to install for now is this sign, and in true to the garage style, what I've done is I've drilled a couple of holes in the back, punched in some furniture studs. Let me just show you what they look like, they're quite interesting. That's a furniture insert. It's basically it's a threaded insert with barbs or nails on it, so you just drill a hole this size and then hammer it into anything that you can hammer nails into, really. And then of course, rather than using picture hanging wire, we're going to use electrical wire, because to the garage, let's just strip the ends of these, do a bit of twisty. Ooh, heard the thermostat kick back in on the convection heater, so that's working nicely. And trying to maintain a good temperature in here. There we go. And we're going to put a bolt through that eye terminal, or ring terminal. Pull this across here to an appropriate length. Cool. And now we've got a very to the garage style sign. And this is something that was made for me by my dad for Christmas. So he's going to get pride of place at the back of the garage here. Pretty cool, eh? So I hope you guys had a great Christmas as well, and we'll be seeing you again lots and lots onto the garage this year. If you're interested in knowing what I paid for the heater or the lighting rig that I've set up, then check out the description below. I'll put links to the same or very similar, depending on what I can find, kit for you to see. No point in quoting your price because it depends where you are in the world and what year you go check the price. So a link is far better. See you soon, guys. Onto the garage. Thanks, Dad.